Hi, it's Connecticut personal injury attorney Ryan McKean here. And today I'm here with Connor Green from Greenlight Sports. And what we're going to talk about is getting back to activity after you suffer an injury. So, good morning, Connor.
Good morning. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well. Connor, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, specifically as it relates to personal training?
Absolutely. My name's Connor Green. I'm the owner of Greenlight Sports Performance. We've been around for almost a year now, but I've been in the field of, personal training, sports performance, for almost about 10 years now. The the reason that I got into this field is, I was a former athlete. I was a cross country runner, and I continued to, pursue that at the collegiate level. And then as well, I now coach that at the high school level. But I always knew that being active and, helping others kind of progress and build activity into their lifestyle was something that I wanted to do. So I earned a associate's degree in exercise science, a bachelor's degree in exercise science, and then I have a, master's degree in education in coaching education and athlete development. So, I kind of have a full round approach to how I'm building things. We started at a very foundational level and build things up, which for personal training and working with a wide array of populations, it really helps. So it's been great.
So kind of one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about today is, oftentimes we've got clients who are active. Maybe they like to run, maybe they like to cycle, maybe they like to weight lift, or maybe, they just like to go to the park, walk their dog, that kind of thing. And then they suffer some sort of injury. Maybe they're in a car accident, maybe there's a fall, and suddenly they're unable to do those things. And in addition to sort of the physical consequences of it, there's also the psychological aspect where they've lost community and they've lost things that they really enjoy doing and add a lot of value to their life. So if somebody finds themselves in that situation, you know, what is it that they should discuss first of all with their doctor? And we're going to begin this conversation, with his with what is going to be true throughout, which is everything that you do and everything that we talked about is really needs to be individualized and discussed with a medical professional first, whether it's your chiropractor, physical therapist, orthopedist, neurologist. You need to discuss all of these things first. But really, what are the conversations that they should a person who's been injured should be having with somebody like you?
No, absolutely, Ryan. You hit that dead on. I mean, one of my biggest rules is, when in doubt, refer out, because everybody's got their own scope of practice and what they're qualified to handle. And at the end of the day, if you got into, a car accident, like you said, or some kind of fall or injury, the first person that you shouldn't come see is me, right. I'm not qualified to handle the medical treatment side of it, especially if bones are broken, joints are injured, things like that. So, starting with the doctor is critical, and, asking questions, especially if you're somebody who was physically active on a regular basis and then you got hurt, no matter what that injury is, asking what they feel is a reasonable amount to continue with. If you're somebody who broke a leg, clearly you're not going to then continue to do your daily rowing or biking or anything like that. But it doesn't mean there can't be some kind of physical activity in there during the healing process. I think that one of the biggest issues a lot of people get is, they hear that they're injured and that automatically kind of severs the tie to exercise in any way, shape, or form. And it's not like people are only exercising for the typical things like weight loss or aesthetically pleasing things. People are doing it for their mental health as well. And when that sense of, like you said, that sense of community is taken away, that sense of almost control over 1 hour of their day to help kind of stress relief is gone, it becomes really tough, and people really struggle. And I think they don't think to ask, well, what else could I do, in that meantime? Because even if, I've had clients that have had, they've broken legs, they are broken arms or things like that, and they've still come to the gym. We've still worked within a safe, reasonable capacity so that they don't lose that sense of community. They don't lose their, just that 1 hour of me time, and that ability to kind of de-stress while also still working towards a goal. I think when people are injured, a lot of the times there's the goal to heal, which is great, and that's something that they progress towards. Like you said, with their orthos, with their PTs, with their chiropractors. But I think that having the ability to continue to work past that goal is also really important.
And I think that's a really important point for anybody listening to this, which is so often you go to the doctor and it's focused on what you can't do. Like don't lift more than 20 pounds or, don't run or don't do this. But, asking, sort of turning that question around and asking your doctor, what can I do, doc? What is it that I can do? And getting sort of, I think, both sides of that coin, could be just very valuable information to somebody who is in this situation and looking to regain some semblance of activity and strength training. Sort of like you said, yeah, if you break your leg, you're not going to run a marathon, but you know what, you may be able to strengthen your upper body. You may or may not
Absolutely.
be able to do core work. There are a host of different activities that one can do. And it may be the kind of thing where, after an accident, that why should, I'm going to ask you the question, why should somebody consider a personal trainer after an accident as opposed to, say, doing YouTube videos or just going to the gym themselves? Or, why is it that somebody should consider a personal trainer?
Absolutely. So I would say the biggest reason for it is the same reason that you choose any sort of professional. If you're looking for a certain product, or you're looking for something that is unique to what you are searching for, you want a professional that can also handle that. And with personal trainers, that they can tailor whatever workouts are, or at least they should be able to tailor whatever certain workouts you're looking for, whatever your goals are, towards your current state of being, and be able to progress and regress however you need it. The biggest challenge I've seen with the rise of things like the Peloton, not to dig in, I know you're a big Peloton guy, but these classes and everything are great. Absolutely. If you have no limitations, or even just require very small modifications, they're great. Some of the challenge becomes when you've got major modifications that need to be made, and a lot of people don't know how to make those modifications on their own. That is why you search out a professional, right? Like if you don't know how to change the plumbing in your house, you're not just going to wing it. I mean, some people might, but you're going to look for that professional who knows how to handle the situation and how to progress it based on their skill set. And that's the same benefit that you find with a personal trainer, or somebody that's very experienced.
Now, if somebody, does not have a current personal trainer, what is it that somebody should look for? I mean, can anybody just call themselves a personal trainer? Like what should be the sort of
Unfortunately,
quality signals that somebody should be looking for in a professional in this field?
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, people can just call themselves, a personal trainer. Obviously, there's certain licensings and certifications that go along with it. I would say that, when you're going to if say you're going to a box gym, where, they're trying to get people into the gym with a lower cost. Well, okay, like that's a sign that, I'm sure there are quality trainers working there, but, their goal is to, get people in, get them involved in their classes and stuff, as opposed to smaller facilities where, their goal is the quality of the people coming in. Finding the right fit for you is critical. And how you start with that is you look at the background of the individuals that are going to be training. Are they somebody who, and obviously it's hard for people to do this up front, but, questions you can ask is, are they going to customize programs specifically to, your goals and your needs? What does their educational background look like? Do they have client testimonials that you can have access to or can see? I know a lot of people, a lot of gyms post those things, so it's obviously easy to find out. And then just being able to sit down one-on-one and ask the questions. I think you can tell a lot from those one-on-one interviews with people. If you automatically feel a connection, if you are getting a sense of the questions that they're asking you versus the questions that you're asking them. It should be a relationship. It shouldn't be a I'm telling you how to do this, you need to follow it. That's it. Like it should be a give and take kind of relationship.
So in at the first meeting, say they decide to find a personal trainer, should there be some sort of assessment, or what should that look like? What should somebody anticipate generally? And again, every trainer is going to be a little different, every gym's going to be a little bit different. But what is something that somebody should expect at their first visit?
Absolutely. I think, if you're joining a quality gym, that is known for their training facilities and things like that, then yes, an assessment is 100% what is going to be a part of it. It may not be in that very first initial meeting, but if it's not within the first two or three, I would use that as a red flag to maybe search somewhere else for it. The assessment is probably the most critical portion outside of asking background information about previous injuries and things like that. If you can't see how people are moving and the person that you're working with doesn't still tries to get you to do a movement that is contraindicated based on your current injury, or what your limitations are, well, that's a problem, right? You want people to meet you where you are, and it should be the same way. So an assessment should definitely be part of that first or second session, and it should be detailed enough that they move through multiple planes of motion, right? So it should be an upper body, lower body, should move forward, backwards, laterally, twisting, some type of stability stuff. And it doesn't have to be so intensive that, these people are going to be drenched in sweat afterwards, but it should be enough that the trainer can gather enough information to put together a realistic plan for the next month or so.
And what is it that would be useful for you as a trainer to know about somebody who has been injured?
Absolutely. So, from personal experience, we go through what's called a PAR-Q. So it's a very detailed questionnaire that gives all sorts of health information. Typically, in my experience, I would ask if there was injuries, major injuries from the past 15, 20 years, because we get clients from all different ages and stuff. And, somebody who's 60 who breaks their ankle when they're 20, well, they may not realize all the different compensation issues that came from it. So it's important to have all that background information, but, definitely previous injuries. I would say the biggest limiting factor would be asking them, are there daily tasks that seem, daunting, overwhelming, or really challenging to that individual? Because it may be something as simple as, taking something from a higher cabinet and trying to pull that out. It's like, you may not realize that your shoulder is hurt, but if you're constantly doing it with just your right arm because you hurt your left arm, well, that's a problem, right? We want to be able to address that. So knowing what their daily life is also like is really important information to gather.
And how now when somebody is working out, and say that they have been injured, how do you differentiate between sort of being sore and pain, and something like an exercise that you shouldn't be doing? Do you have any thoughts on
Absolutely.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's basics that belief systems, of contraindication. So it's like if you're somebody who broke your shoulder, or your scapula or something like that, overhead pressing motions probably should be avoided until you get clearance from the physical therapist or from the ortho. If you're somebody who had recently broken their leg and they're in month 3 of healing, well, my guess is you're going to want to avoid any kind of heavy vertical loading on the legs that heavy specifically, but if they're in PT and they're progressing well, then that's fine too. Basically, anything that's going to directly impact above or below the joint that may have been injured, you're going to want to, be very cautious and take extreme care. And if you are working with somebody and they are not doing that, well, that's another red flag for you that you may want to, either communicate, hey, this is a problem, or, find somewhere else to go. And it may be in-house as well. There's always going to be varying degrees of skill set and knowledge base within a facility. Now, as far as differentiating between, general soreness, legitimate pain, I've been coaching and training people for a long time, and I can tell you that is person by person. I like to use the, on a 1 to 10 scale. If, 10 being, I couldn't possibly move. I feel like I was just hit by a bus, and one is, nothing. I like to, you make it a little unique, and I take 7 out of it. So it's 1 to 10, can't say 7. Because in my experience, people tend to say 7. If something hurts or if they're sore, and it's on like a little bit more severe, they'll say 7. And it's like, well, that kind of doesn't really give us great information. So by taking out 7, if they're saying it's a 6, well, okay, now I know it's probably just a little bit more of muscle soreness. If they're saying it's an 8, okay, well, now I know that's actually pretty severe. We'll take it back up a little bit. Um, Getting them to understand that, especially those who are coming from zero activity, low activity, or previous injuries, soreness is going to be a part of it. Discomfort is going to be a part of it. Moving joints through ranges of motion that they previously were not doing for long periods of time is going to cause discomfort. If it ever gets to the point where it's debilitating pain, immediate stop. And the professional that you're working with should know that that's an immediate stop.
And one of the things our clients often get told to do are strengthening exercises. If they're going to physical therapy, they're given bands and exercises to do. Some of the time, I don't know. For me, an exercise, it always helps me to understand the why I'm doing things. Can you talk about like the benefits of those exercises outside of PT? Outside of their 2 sessions a week when they're home, the general benefits of strength.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, besides the process of, healing a joint or potentially, getting back to a certain strength level, I mean, just knowing that you now have the ability to regain some control over your life is probably the most important part of it. And control can be in tons of different ways. It can be somebody who's broken an arm and struggles to get a carton of milk out of the fridge now because of it. It's like, well, as you build up that strength, simple tasks like that, they may not seem it in the moment, but those things add up over time, and they become, okay, well, I can put the carton away. It's like, well, now I can carry a little bit heavier grocery bags in. And it just kind of snowballs into a confidence thing where, coming back from an injury, no matter what it is, confidence is going to be down when you're hurt. And just having that ability to build confidence slowly and gradually over time, building strength and building health and building fitness outside of just the recommended 2 days of physical therapy plus maybe some at-home exercises, that's the important part that people just don't realize actually starts to happen.
It's one of these things where I think the mental benefits, the physical benefits, and and again, even if somebody's not active before an accident, like paradoxically and like weirdly, like that could be a real opportunity for them to gain activity and to seek out training, and maybe in a way that they haven't. Because I know one of the benefits that I gain from working with a trainer of really fewfold. One is that somebody else is telling me what to do and coming up with plans that are specific to me. So I'm not just getting to the gym and saying like, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to do 10 minutes on the elliptical and then, do some chest presses? Like, what am I going to do? Having that mental burden removed is tremendously useful. And also having somebody who can show me and teach me the proper form. Form is so important in lifting weights, and correct form and monitor posture and make suggestions and modifications. I think it is so valuable. And I think the sort of mental health component, the relationship between the mind and the body is so powerful that this could be an opportunity for somebody who's not physically active to gain it. And they're if they do things right and they're working with a trainer and they're working with their doctors and their physical therapists, they may have a much better result, than just doing sort of one of these things um, alone. So I think it's very valuable, very, very valuable information, for anyone out there who's going through something. And I just, from your experience in this industry, there are, are there like, would you say that there's like a gym and a trainer for everyone, or is there, one type of gym, for somebody who may not have been to a gym? Is there
Mhm.
one type of gym where everybody's, jacked up and dropping weights and yelling, or are there different kinds of gyms and trainers out
Absolutely. I mean, you're even within gyms themselves, you're going to find a variety of different trainers working there. And, that's on purpose and that's kind of by design for a lot of places because, every individual that comes in is also going to be different and unique and require different things. I've had adults that, were former athletes in high school and they're used to that mentality of, grinding hard, working hard and everything like that. And they want to be yelled at a little bit. It's like, okay, well, it's like that's not really me. It's like I'm going to move you off to somebody else because that's more their personality. And then I've had people that are very, very timid because it's a new experience for them. They're looking for a much softer approach. And it's like, okay, it's like that. Like I can work with that. It's like, but they may now want a male personal trainer. They may want a female trainer because that's somebody who they feel more comfortable with. So I think a good quality gym has people that can kind of fit into a bunch of different roles and be able to interact with different people. You're always going to find gyms that are different focuses and making sure that you find that right one that is a good fit for you. The same person that may join a CrossFit or something like that probably won't be the kind of person that wants to join a Planet Fitness or something where the intensities are two completely different spectrums. It doesn't mean one is better than the other because if your goal is only to use cardio equipment or some lighter weights and not have to worry about routines, just kind of get in, get out, then Planet Fitness is going to be great for you. If you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit more rigorous or a little more intense, probably with a lot more instruction and hands-on, okay, well then maybe the gym down the street is for you. It's a lot of research. There's a lot of information that goes into it, and I think knowledge is everybody's biggest skill set when it comes to finding the right gym for you. And I know most gyms, obviously, people become trainers because they want to help others. So if you have questions, just ask them. Nobody's trying to hide things. If they think it's going to be a great fit for you, perfect. If they don't, most people will be honest enough to say, hey, maybe this relationship may not work, but I have somebody I think that'll be great for you. And it's just about having open and honest dialogue, I think, a lot of the time.
there? So, Connor, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do so?
So I'm on, I have my own personal website, which is Greenlight Sports LLC.com. And then I'm on all social media. So, Facebook, Instagram, but even just my email, which, I'll make sure that we get that attached, but it's Coach Green at greenlightsportllc.com. I'm responding all day. I would say maybe 9 o'clock at night would be when I stop, but 7 a.m. through 9 p.m. I'm readily available. And even if it's just questions about how to find the right place for you, even if it's not with me, I'm here to help people. I'm not here to, deceive or put people in the wrong place. I want people to be successful no matter what they try. So, that would be the best way.
Well, Connor, thank you so much. And I think this has been a really potentially valuable discussion for somebody who has suffered some sort of injury, and maybe it may give them some hope and some options that they had not considered. We'll put links to Connor wherever it is that you're watching and hearing this. There'll be links in the comments or the description of this. And Connor, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Ryan.